Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dojo Setting. This one's been a long time coming. We're going to do how to set for kids. Now, with this, we're not talking about the World Cup competitive athletes. We're talking about kids that are just getting into it, enjoying the sport. There's a whole different mindset when it comes to competitive athletes. So, before we dive in, make sure you like and subscribe. We're putting out videos pretty often, so stay current on those. Follow me on Instagram and check out our Patreon. So let's dive into it. To help me out, we have my son Jace over here. So Jace, what are some differences between you and me?
That you are taller than me and you can reach higher up.
Exactly, yeah. So the most obvious thing is that kids are shorter than adults. We all know that. Their reach is shorter, and one thing that I've heard a lot of people say is the elbow rule. You know, if you're setting for kids, only set to your elbows. And that's a good rule of thumb, but even better, we need to talk about your drive. Now, do you know what a drive is? No? Okay. So, do you know what this is called from your fingertip to fingertip?
Wingspan.
Wingspan, you're right. So, if that's your wingspan's a lot shorter than mine, right?
No, my wingspan is actually as tall as me.
You're right, yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people's wingspan are, the length of their arms are the same as they are tall. Did you know that my wingspan is 3 inches longer than I am tall?
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's the wingspan, and that's very important to take into consideration. The other thing is the drive. You don't know what a drive is, though, do you? So, your drive is how high you can reach from your foot to your hand. So, some other differences between adult climbers and kid climbers. We've talked about the obvious one. There's obviously a height difference, there's a wingspan thing, there's a drive. The other thing that not a lot of people think about, hand size and how that affects gripping holds. So, for me, this big old pinch here, that's really nice. I can get my whole hand around this. Now, let's have you try to get your hand on it.
Easy.
Alright, so you can get your hand on there, but see how you only have like the tips of your fingers over here? Look at mine, I can get like my whole hand over there. So, kids have smaller hands. What that means, pinches are going to be really hard. Slopers, even harder. But if you have smaller hands than me, what type of holds might feel better?
The holds that have like those in curves.
Yeah, in-cut holds, crimpers. If you're a kid, usually you have smaller hands, and those crimpers feel even better. So that's why you'll notice a lot of kid climbers gravitating towards crimpers instead of big pinches like this. We also, jugs can feel even juggier for smaller hands. So like he's showing you there, we got a nice big old jug for him. He can get, actually, can you get both your hands on that? Look at that. 4 fingers, bring your hands a little closer.
Actually 5 right here.
You can get your whole hand on that. Now if I try to do that, let me see if I can do that. Yeah, see, I can't fit. I still have this. So a lot of the bigger holds, the jugs, the crimpers, they're going to feel even better for kids. Another thing about youth climbers is their bodies are still growing. They're still developing a lot of their muscle groups. They're trying to get coordinated, all this stuff. So other things to keep in mind, usually their cores aren't as strong as normal climbers are. They have to build that up. Also, let's see that bicep. That's looking pretty good. He's got a pretty good bicep there. But a lot of youth climbers, especially when they're first starting off, have trouble with underclings because that's a lot of biceps.
Underclings are easy.
So, again, we are talking about beginner youth climbers. We're not talking about competitors. Maybe we'll do a video on that later. So, what we're going to do today, we're going to set him a couple climbs, and we will talk about maybe why they work and why they don't work if they don't work. We are going to be using, and actually dude, I'm super jealous because you get to climb on them before I do. We are going to be using the Endure mitts. Did you just dab?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's set a couple climbs and we'll have him climb them. So one of the cool things you can see with the climb right behind me, Jace actually set it. I didn't really give him any input. I was just kind of making sure that bolts weren't being cross-threaded. So this was totally his thought process here. I think this is a cool idea to let your kids help design climbs for them because A, it gives them a really good sense of accomplishment. They're able to create something and then climb on it, which is really cool. It also gives you a good sense of what they're comfortable with. So I suspect on this climb there's going to be a lot of matching, but we'll find out. So another thing you'll notice is that he wanted the finish hold to be right here. That's a comfort thing. This wall is 11 feet tall. That's pretty tall for kids. So this hold here, my guess is it's around 8 feet. Let's take a look. Let's try it. Yeah, it's probably 8 or 9 feet off the ground, so that's okay to let the roots end a little shorter on your walls. So, a couple of the key things, don't make the beta that hard. They are just trying to figure out how to move. You don't need to create all these crazy, complex, ridiculous sequences for kids, especially if they're first starting out. Now that we have the climb that he designed, the climb that I designed, both with the mitts from Endure, I'm going to set a crimpier climb for him using some of the Sugar House swells, the Thrive wibbles, and the Thrive erosions. This climb is going to be kind of straightforward. It's not going to be too bad. But the holds are going to be a little bit smaller, so that's where the difficulty lies. So, as he's climbing, you'll notice that his feet are using anything he wants. That's just how we set our wall up. Everything is open feet, especially for youth climbers. I honestly wouldn't focus too much on forcing them to use specific footholds. Let them use the handholds, let them get used to climbing, let them get used to being higher off the ground, let them enjoy it. And once they start climbing for a while, then you can sort of introduce like, hey, try to only use these feet, things like that. So the one that he set, that one had specific footholds because it was the only climb on the wall. Now when you start adding more climbs for our wall, it's going to open up a lot of foot options for him. So there are a couple tips for setting for beginner youth climbers. I hope it helped. The biggest thing is keep it simple, make it as easy as it can be. That way they get excited and encouraged to climb. If you make these really hard sequences, more than likely they're not going to like it and they're not going to climb. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.